All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling one of the most interesting and complex business environments out there, Iraq. It's a place just brimming with potential, but you gotta know, it's also packed with risks if you go in without a plan. So let's break it down.
So, this is the big question on everyone's mind, right? When you look at Iraq's market, are you looking at a gold mine of untapped potential, or is it just a minefield of unpredictable risks? Well, the truth is, it's both. And that's exactly what makes it so tough, and frankly, so fascinating to navigate.
So, first things first, let's get a handle on the situation on the ground. You have to think of Iraq's economy as a market of dualities. For every huge opportunity, there's a pretty significant challenge sitting right next to it.
On one side of the coin, you have this incredibly energetic environment. I mean, there's a growing consumer base that has real needs in major sectors like banking, energy, and manufacturing. It's like a huge magnet for growth, pulling in companies from right there in Iraq and all over the world. But here's the flip side, the massive challenge of uncertainty. Tapping into all that potential isn't as simple as just setting up shop. You've got to navigate a landscape that can be, well, pretty confusing and hard to read.
And we're not just talking about one single headache. Nope. Consumer tastes and habits can be completely different from one part of the country to another. The rules and regulations, they can change with very little warning. And the biggest issue of all, there's a real lack of solid, reliable data. It makes it almost impossible to figure out what people actually want or what your competitors are even doing.
And that really gets to the heart of the danger here. Trying to operate without good intel in this market is like trying to drive through a new city blindfolded. You can have all the ambition in the world, but without a clear map, you're probably just going to make some very expensive mistakes.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem. The potential is massive, but so are the risks. So let's talk about the solution. How do businesses get the map they so desperately need? Well, what we're really talking about is finding a new kind of compass for making decisions.
And at the core of this whole thing is something called market intelligence. Now, this is way more than just collecting a bunch of numbers. It's a whole process of gathering information, digging into it, and then actually using it to make decisions you can feel good about. The entire goal is to turn messy, raw data into a sharp tool that cuts down your risk.
And this isn't just some abstract idea. This need for real intelligence is creating real solutions. Take the Morshed Group, for example. They just launched a market research service that's been built from the ground up to solve these exact problems for businesses trying to make it in Iraq.
And listen, these guys are not new to the game. We're talking about more than a decade of on-the-ground experience in Iraq. That kind of deep-rooted local knowledge is absolutely crucial because it helps you see the little things, the nuances that an outside firm would almost certainly miss.
So, how does this actually work in the real world? What does this new compass even look like? Let's pop the hood and take a look at their research toolkit to see how the magic happens.
It's a pretty straightforward process that takes you from total confusion to a clear strategy. First, they use surveys to figure out what consumers are actually thinking and doing. Then, they analyze the competition to see where everyone stands. The really key step is the third one, analytics. That's where they turn all that raw information into forecasts you can actually use. And it all wraps up in these clear, comprehensive reports made for the people who have to make the big calls.
You know, the founder and CEO, Anas Morshed, he really hits the nail on the head. He talks about combining that local, boots-on-the-ground expertise with world-class research standards. The goal isn't just to dump a bunch of data on your desk. It's to give you insights that are, like he says, practical, timely, and actionable. That's the stuff that actually makes a difference.
And you can see here, their experience isn't just theoretical or stuck in one little niche. They have a solid track record across the main pillars of Iraq's economy. We're talking banking, energy, manufacturing, and consumer goods. Having that wide-angle view is so important because it lets them see how everything connects, which leads to much, much smarter insights.
Okay, so we've looked at the problem and we've looked at the solution. But what's the real implication here? Why does getting your hands on this kind of data-driven intelligence really truly matter for a business in Iraq?
It's a total game changer for how decisions get made. I mean, you're literally shifting from making high-risk guesses to making choices backed by real confidence. Your strategy goes from just reacting to problems to proactively shaping your future. And that is how you go from just hoping for growth to actually unlocking it.
But you know, when you zoom out, this is bigger than just one company's success story. The bigger mission here is about strengthening the entire Iraqi private sector.
When you give businesses the tools they need to make smarter choices, to invest wisely, and to build better products, you create this amazing ripple effect that helps lift the whole economy.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to chew on. For a market that has so much promise, but is also so incredibly complex, could it be that reliable, actionable data is the single most important key to unlocking Iraq's next huge chapter of economic growth? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.